Welcome to the third video of week 14 and the final one of the semester, where I'm going to give you your feedback on the source-based discussion about Columbus's first encounter with Native Americans in what today is Haiti or the Dominican Republic, the island which Columbus christened Hispaniola. The first question asked, what European assumptions about the New World are shown in this passage? By assumptions, I wanted you to focus on what kind of preconceived ideas or prejudices does Columbus bring in, rather than merely what descriptions he makes about the Native Americans. Well, some assumptions are, firstly, he thinks he's in Asia. As we all know, Columbus was trying to get to Asia westwards, did not expect America to be there, and he insists that he's in the Indian Sea, as he calls it. Then he assumes that he has the right to claim these lands in the name of Spain and to rename them. He gives them names reflecting Christian and Spanish heritage. For example, the first island in the Bahamas he calls San Salvador, meaning the Holy Savior. The island, which in modern day terms is Haiti and the Dominican Republic, he calls Hispaniola, which means the Spanish island. And he says that he proclaims unfurling banners and so on, making proclamations. He proclaims these lands to be subject to the Spanish monarchs. And the Native Americans, who of course do not speak Spanish, have no concept of nations and kings and flags, etc., supposedly grant their consent in a ceremony in which they don't know what's going on. Then when he looks at the behavior of the Native Americans, he puts those in terms of simplicity. He assumes that these behaviors must be those of simple, ignorant people. For example, when they're exchanging goods, Columbus, reflecting on the fact that the Native Americans give away gold in return for what to Europeans are useless things like bells and glass beads, says they are, quotes, bartering like idiots. This brings me to the second question, which is how useful is Columbus's account for understanding these cultures and these peoples? Well, in favor of it is an eyewitness account. It is an account of the first recorded interaction between Europeans and Native Americans. As such, it's an incredibly valuable source. If we did not have this source, we would be going around saying, if only Columbus had written about this encounter, if only we had that source. So of course, it's a good source. And he does give us some useful description of their clothing, their behavior, their language, etc. On the other hand, though, the source is colored by Columbus's assumptions, which we examined in question 1. When he sees societies different to those he's used to, he interprets them in ways that are negative. He's used to, for want of a better term, sophisticated cultures, complex societies, both in Europe itself, but also in whatever non-European cultures he may have encountered, such as those of Muslim countries around the Mediterranean, which, although culturally very different to Europe, shared with Europe similar social structures. Here he sees people with a far less complex social structure and assumes that this must be a sign of them being backwards and ignorant. For example, in the exchange of gold for beads, he sees this as stupidity. They give away useful materials in exchange for useless trinkets. But to Native Americans, this could be seen as a valuable trade. They have gold. They've not seen glass beads or bells before. These are things which they might value for their rarity value. They might grant them social status because nobody else has them. Or alternatively, we could see this as gift exchange, a common element for opening up relations in many cultures between peoples. You give them something, they give you something back in return. Either of those interpretations would make us see that these people are not stupid or ignorant, but Columbus misunderstands them and misinterprets them, reducing the value of this source as a way of understanding those native cultures. The last question asked, what value does Columbus think these territories have for Spain? They have material value. He, of course, is hoping to get to Asia to open up trade routes. He reports back to the treasurer, who, of course, is the man in charge of the purse strings of the Spanish court, that they found gold, spices, and cotton. In spiritual terms, he talks enthusiastically about how the native people can be won to Christianity. He believes that they are open to conversion. So also he offers to the Spanish crown the offer of more souls for the Catholic faith, as well as more material benefits such as trade and trade goods.